Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So Eric Strandberg, you're not there. Eric there. Let the record show that all board members are present except for Eric Strandberg. There are no citizens' comments. We'll go on to board member committee reports, starting with Jim.
I have nothing. I subbed today. There was a meeting of the Rum River Special Ed Co-op, but I was subbing instead. So I didn't make that meeting.
Thank you, Don.
I attended the MSBA conference and some different workshops while I was there, some networking.
Okay. Thank you. Deb?
All I had was agenda planning.
Chad?
I was started the MSBA, did the early bird on Wednesday, and then I attended all the other stuff on Thursday and Friday. And
I had agenda planning. I attended the MSBA conference on Thursday and Friday. And then I also attended the staff development presentation on law by our attorney, Mick, on Monday morning, which was, I don't know, was that recorded?
Yes, we did record that. By the way, Don, were you able to get on that? And if you didn't get it, I'll send the recording to you.
Okay, I'll double check. I wasn't able to get in yesterday, but I'll try after
Okay.
the meeting here. I'll let you know. Thank you.
It was, I found it as a board member helpful, just because it would help me if I was asked questions by a community member, possibly to have that background of knowing what he said. So I found it really interesting. Eric.
Just finance today.
Okay. Student council reports.
All right, so superintendent board has been running smoothly. I haven't been to a meeting yet, so I hope it sounds like it's going well.
Yep, we had an advisory group of like, I don't know, I felt like a lot of students, like 30, maybe 25, 30, and I think we're meeting again this week. On Thursday. Yeah.
We're starting plans for snow days. That's going pretty smooth. We did a food drive. That went pretty well. Let's see, we got the senior shirt signed. The shirt is SpongeBob themed, which is a little interesting, but yeah, that's fun. Not much else. Making plans for Earth Day events. That's about it.
Great, thank you. Superintendent report.
Well, Jim referenced Rum River meeting. I did attend that today. That's their typical planning for organizational meetings for the year. So very similar to our organizational meeting when they did to go through everything. Yeah, we had staff development on Monday, which was yesterday. It seems like a year ago. But we did, every building had itinerary of different kinds of topics, most of which was related to curriculum design, trying to move that work forward, really having curriculum areas discuss what is their end in mind, what is it that we want our students to understand and know and do, and fold the state and national standards into that, and starting to put that curriculum into Atlas Rubicon, which is our documentation process for curriculum. That's one thing that the district, I think over the years, and teachers would tell you that there's been lots of ongoing work about curriculum design and discussing and agreeing on what are essential areas that we will focus on. but we haven't done a really good job of documenting that. So in my opinion, over the years, lots of duplication of efforts and, doing things, now that we remember kind of doing 2 years ago, but, where is that? And different settings use different documentation tools. And ultimately, as a district, we're responsible for the district curriculum. But we need the expertise of our teachers to assist in writing that curriculum, because there's more to it than just the state standards. So that work happened, and certainly it was time for us to bring our attorney to just talk about different legal topics associated with schools. If you remember, I think it was last meeting, I referenced that we are a school, but over the course of any given day, we're working on pandemics and legal issues associated with that, and just recently OSHA requirements that made its way all the way to the Supreme Court, and trying to analyze what that all means, or does it mean as it relates to transgender issues within schools, and rights of students and rights of staff members and freedom of speech, and this whole idea of indoctrination, right? And so there's all of these things kind of floating out there. And I think it was really important for all of our staff to get a good idea of, what does the law actually say? And I think that our attorney did a really nice job of that. And certainly continues to validate and make us happy that we have the attorney that we do, because we do have strong folks working with us. I need the board to know that we are the COVID cases in our district are about as bad as they've been. Today, we had our highest number for a month, or a first day back. Our first day back tends to always be the day that we get the most reports. So we will every single day, do everything we can to try and keep the ship sailing, and keep staying the course for our students. I've directed all of our district level staff to prioritize subbing in buildings. Today I had the opportunity to sub in kindergarten for a period of the day. Tomorrow I anticipate subbing somewhere. And that's just happening everywhere, as well as the principals and the counselors and any kind of support kinds of systems that we have. Really trying to get anybody that we can, so that we can keep our school in session. Ultimately, my thought is, and I know that some people disagree with me on this, but my intent is to keep school open. Unless there's absolutely no other choice. And although it has been hard and it has been stressful every single day for our team members, we have been able to do it. And I realize it weighs on them every day, every single day, when it's the 5th day that they've lost their prep because they have to sub for someone else, that wears on people. And our staff have been outstanding, and they need to be commended for every day being resilient and being persevering through some of this. But I know that, I just need them to stay strong, because that's the only way we're staying open, is because they are staying strong, trying to work through this. I do anticipate the next couple of weeks to be, sometimes you think it never can get more challenging. I think that the next 2 weeks are going to be the most challenging, as we can continue to kind of go. So it's just important for you to know that. But we're doing it. We're going. We do intend to send a communication out to families at the end of this week. Thursday or Friday, it will probably come in way of a Tiger Times, that will share that we are intending to move towards the new CDC MDH guidelines for quarantining for positive COVID cases. Which comes with a whole nother set of guidelines, but it does reduce the quarantining from 10 days to 5 days. So someone could come back on day 6, only if there are no symptoms, and that person must wear a face covering for that period of time. That will be an option that we will have for all of our families. I do need to let you know that for us to do that, we will need to be firm in that requirement. If you come back and take that choice, you do need to wear that face covering. We cannot have that battle of, yeah, I'm going to take this 5-day quarantine. By the way, I'm not going to follow this and wear this face covering, because that's like part of the thing. That's part of the rule. You got to come back, you got to wear this
So how long do they have to do that?
through day 10.
Another 5 days, yeah.
Yep. So I do think it's going to help us on the staffing side, because, you know, we do have many of our staff that have COVID are sick, but we have many that are asymptomatic and don't have symptoms. And, you know, I think that this will allow us to get some of our team members back sooner. And then we would expect that our staff members that are sick will, you know, stay out. Yes, Jim?
Ben, can I make a comment?
Sure.
Yeah, having subbed quite a bit, I'm just wondering, would it benefit the teachers, the staff, the school, for at least the teachers to mask up? You know, it's going to help them. They can be role models. And I wonder how many teachers would object to at least having them wear masks while they're teaching.
Well, they can wear masks.
Yeah, but none do.
Well,
Yeah.
but the opportunity is there. No one's telling them that they can't wear a mask. If they
Well,
want a mask, they certainly can.
I think maybe some encouragement could be there. I mean, we're losing a lot of teachers who are becoming positive. And I don't know what would be wrong with at least encouraging teachers to wear masks.
Well, Jim, I hear you, and I would be lying if I didn't tell you that I hear that every day from people, you know, from folks that firmly believe that we should require masks for all of our students and staff members, and I've heard that from the very get-go. I hear a lot of things every day from different folks. That is certainly not going to be out of the question. That still is on the table. I'm at this point, I haven't considered doing that, but it's something that should be under consideration. And certainly if the board at any time wanted to, you know, make any kind of a ruling to require face coverings, that could be brought up to the board. And I would, you know, work under the board's direction on that.
I'd like to see a discussion about pros and cons anyway, because I'm not for requiring, but I think I'm for encouraging anyway. I think it would be a good role model thing, and it would help keep teachers healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing that I struggle with, Jim, to be honest, is, you know, I think we all see the media, especially the Twin Cities media, sensationalize or, you know, have their head running stories of dozens of metro schools that have gone to distance learning because of COVID, right? And I think if you went up and down the line of every single one of those schools that have had to close, they've been the most rigid from the get-go on requiring masks and requiring quarantining for close contacts. And I mean, I point to Rochester, I think, as a prime example, maybe one of the most firm in terms of restrictions for COVID from the very get-go, with the pressures that they've had from different entities. And they closed 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's the thing that I struggle with, you know, it's like, yeah. I get it. But, you know, there's been lots of places that require masks, and they're closing down left and right.
Yeah, I'm not talking about requiring, but I'm just wondering if at least a discussion among the staff about wearing masks could save them, and they could be providing a role model kind of thing. I don't know. That's,
Jim, it's something I struggle with every day, just like I'm sure all of our board members do. I don't know, I feel like I took more time than normal on I didn't intend to, so, and unless the board has any other questions of me, I mean, certainly I could talk for hours on everything that's happening in the district. You know, those are some of the high points, things of concern right now.
Any other questions for Ben? Okay. We'll move on to approve the agenda, or motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion made by Chad. There a second?
I'll second.
Second made by Deb. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed,
Aye.
same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries. We need to approve the previous board meeting minutes from the organizational meeting, the regular meeting, and the closed meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the previous board meeting minutes?
so
So
moved.
moved.
Motion made by Jim, seconded by Don. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The consent agenda. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda?
so moved.
Motion made by Deb,
Second.
second by Chad. Is there any discussion? I did just want to point out that in the personnel section, Gwen Anderson's resignation / retirement is there, and just recognizing and thanking her for her years of service in the district. Any other discussion? Hearing
No, I
none.
appreciate you bringing that up, because I was gonna say that, and I forgot when I was talking about COVID, but yeah. Gwen has been around for a long time and been a huge part of the success of our admin team over the years, and this is all part of her plan. So that she's kind of had a life plan, and she's seeing this part of her plan through, and we're excited for her. And you know, she'll stay strong with us till her last day. You know, the board just needs to know that we'll be, you know, soon developing a plan for our next community ed director. So you'll get more information on that here in the next month.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries. We'll move on to the informational part of the meeting and post-pension plan updates, and I think that is Barb.
Good evening. Are you ready for me?
Ready.
Yep.
Okay. I am here this evening. This is informational. It is a 3-year review this year of our post-pension plan. What that is, again, is a plan for us to respond to suicide and other traumatic death. We have created this plan in conjunction with longtime partners at Fairview, and they put us in connection with, I'm reading my notes here, Hazelden Lifelines Postvention. So Hazelden is a sort of part of the foundation. They're now connected with the Betty Ford Foundation. So we use the Lifelines curriculum, and we have gone to the Lifelines training for several years, and that is where we have our plan. And upon their recommendation, I'm here tonight on this 3-year review, just to remind the board that we do have such a plan and that it is based on significant research. our trainers this fall in October, and several of us attend from each building at the high school and the middle school. And we also have some attendees from the intermediate school. And there's a 3-day training, and different personnel attend on each of the different days, depending on the target of their agenda. The training is outstanding, and the trainers are, well, they're world-class trainers. The main trainer is called upon in significant tragedies such as Parkland. So the recommendations from Hazelden Lifelines and the Betty Ford Foundation through Hazelden, these are based on real research and evidence that our trainers have pulled together for us. So again, our 3rd year, we just had our district team meet yesterday. So I thank Jessica for finding that time for us in the busy day. And every 3 years, the district postvention team gets together, we review the plan, and we go through some scenarios, and we just make sure that we are ready to respond. The time to plan for response is not when you're dealing with a tragedy or a crisis. You need a plan so that you can make the fewest decisions that are needed, and you have a guideline to follow. And we are in our 7th year of this plan and its revisions. We communicate it, and we pull our site teams together in October every year. And then we do a brief review in March, so that again, we are not talking about this unfortunate situation only when a tragedy has occurred. We also communicate to our parents at specific times during the year. So again, it's not always only in times of unspeakable tragedy. Just briefly, the plan has many details, but it really is a plan so that we can provide structure around the situation in order for us to be able to control the situation at the school, and therefore provide the support for our students. The school's role in such a time is intense, but it is limited, and we have many recommendations from this training, and it's been my pleasure to work with this team and move it forward. And I thank Superintendent Barton and again, Jessica, for giving us the time this week and for continuing to support this work. So that is my role tonight, is to remind you that we do have such a plan, and we have organization and training around it. And thank you again for that support.
Thanks, Barb. Strong work.
Yeah, thanks, Barb.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Barb. We'll move on to budget parameters. And Michelle, take it away.
All right, well, we have a whole list of parameters, and this year we get to take the state percent off. As we know, 2% is what they've settled on for 22, 23. And we have not completed the revised budget yet. We're still working on it. And then we do know that negotiations are settled in our district. So there's some big pieces that we already know as far as planning for next year. But of course, the thing that drives our revenue is enrollment. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about is enrollment. The Excel spreadsheet is the first attachment. Got lots of colors. I don't know, purplish, pink. We can't decide what color that is.
And you can zoom, I don't even know this, but I always forget that you can zoom in because that's small.
Yes. So you start the spreadsheet by putting in October 1 enrollment in another part of the spreadsheet, then it kicks out what it thinks is going to happen. So 21, 22, our current year, it is currently indicating that we should land at about 3,118 kids total district. Now, just for a reference point, we plan for 3,050. for the start of the school year, when we created the original budget. So we've had some nice movement in enrollment throughout the district, especially in our younger grades. And then it moves on to 22, 23, and of course it's showing that we're going to go slightly back down toward that 3,100, it's saying 3,093, and projecting out, of course, it always shows that we're going down. Kindergarten is going to be one of the areas that we're gonna have to make a decision on what that might look like. So if you get out of that one and go into the next attachment that says multi-year analysis, this is the one where I put together and show you that we look at enrollment, not just by the Excel spreadsheet that school finance developed years ago, but we look at a few different ways of how enrollment could land. And in 21, 22, I took the year-end grade progression, the low one, completely out because it's not even in the realm of what we are. But the other ones, they're possible, but September to year-end low, I would not think we're gonna end there. Not, we would really have to lose a lot of kids, and that's not likely. And then the year-end grade progression, the average, that also, I wouldn't be concerned that we are gonna land there either. But the September to year-end average at 3,104, that's a possibility. It all depends on, kids moving in and out and how many go to PSEO. But for right now, in the revised budget, we do have the 3,118 kids. That the school finance sheet came up with. And when you look at the average of the 4 that we looked at, it's saying 3,087, which again, I think is too low for what we're showing for kids. Then we look at 22, 23 in multiple ways also. So we have the school finance, and then we alter the school finance. So basically what Jason and I did yesterday was we went in and we put in our exact enrollments in those K through 8 areas. Well, actually K through 10, those exact enrollments. And then that gave us a slightly different answer of 3,070. Again, I took out the year-end grade progression low because it didn't make any sense. And then the year-end grade progression average was 3,042. And the reason the year-end grades aren't working for us this time around is because we started with higher enrollment. So it doesn't make sense. So the kicker is K. Currently on our census, we're showing 260 kids, and typically we're well over the 300 mark with K in our census. And so we estimate if you take 70% of that, which somewhere between 70 and 80%, depending on the years, what we grab for K of our resident kiddos, the low there is 182 kids. So that's really a low number. The school finance progression in the year end are all kind of like averages. And of course they're running at 214 and 217. The year end grade progression low was running, when you looked at what happened year end to year end, it brought us to that 198. So we did put a couple of ideas below there for options. Tonight, we are not voting on any parameters here for enrollment. So this is just food for thought. We put K at 214 and we have 3 options there, with option 1 being 3,090. And then we put K at 200 kiddos, and that was 3,075. So that drives the dollar amount, obviously, in our budget, and it's the large part of our budget because that's what we're funded on. Like I said, we aren't voting tonight, but we are gonna have to set a parameter at our next meeting. And I'm not in, I don't think we need to go to option 3. Even option 2, the 3,055, I think is maybe too low. So I think we're between that 3,090 and that 3,070 mark. And I guess it's just what you're comfortable at. Are you comfortable at K being at 214? Are you comfortable at K being at 200? And you're not gonna be any more right than me or Ben.
Well, and we talked a lot about this in finance. I mean, you just need, we'll go through this again another month, and then we're gonna have to just make a decision. This is what we're gonna set the budget based upon these numbers. And we're gonna be wrong. We are every year. There's no possible way to be exactly right. But you set the number and then we monitor, you know, throughout the summer. Because we'll be going through the Wild About Kindergarten promotional series that will be happening, tons of work happening there, calls to every single family. We'll get a decent feeling on kind of where we're gonna be at in like May or June. And then, you know, we might even modify. Let's say we're low, let's say we set it at 215 and we're like, geez, we only have like 180, you know, we better maybe move it down to 200. And we have all the way through when we adopt the budget to do that. But then, of course, what happens every year is in August, then we'll get 20 more. So that's just how we do it. But the board's gonna have to make their best educated guess to tell Michelle what you want her to build that budget on.
Then class size guidelines. We went into greater detail in finance because we attached Jason's sheet. But we are basically recommending that we keep our class size guidelines the same, no changes to that. We don't see any reason at this point to move those. I think that parameter will be easy. And that's all I have under parameters unless there's other questions there.
Do you see any other wild cards in enrollment other than the kindergarten?
No, as far as, you know, we always have to, you know, our year, typically we start out with more high schoolers.
Yeah.
And as we talked from our 10th to our 11th grade year, we plan for that drop. And then we have another slight drop from 11th to 12th. That's pretty common. And we know that on average, we drop about 50 kids at the high school level by the end of the year. It's pretty stable in the other buildings. You know, missing a kid here or there, a couple in each building, because one building will go down by 3, the next one will go up by 4. There's no major hit, but the kindergarten class numbers, I honestly, with 260 kids, when you're used to seeing a number over 300 it's a little scary, but then again, it's not an accurate number, and we know that. So we have a good fund balance. We will be leveraging all of the COVID funding. I don't know what all the impacts are, and I'm not even going to project because there's so much movement in our finances right now Mary and I are getting a little squirrely, trying to make sure we got, who did we move to COVID money, and did that move right, and why is that percentage wrong? We've been working solid on that for 2 days, just because it usually only takes us a day to go through the payroll budget, and we're on day 2. So I'm out tomorrow, and we'll be working again on it on Thursday. So I'm not gonna make any educated guesses, just I do know that we should be looking quite a bit better from our original to our revised, because of those, basically 70 kids that are here that weren't there. So, and we had some nice jumps in the younger grades this year. We had some, we didn't expect as many kiddos, and they didn't just come in K, they came in first grade, they came in 4th grade, they came in 5th grade. So I'm just hoping that people want to come to Princeton, because it helps us out. It's much easier to function with money coming in the door than when it's going out backwards. So.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you. So COVID-19 funding updates, and I'm assuming that's you as well.
Yes. Everybody can breathe. ESSER 3 is funded. It's not budgeted yet, because we are planning on most of that being used for 23-24. We will be using some of ESSER 3, the 20% for our targeted services program that will be starting here in February. And that program will have busing. We have about 36 kids that need busing after school. Those kids, I think we got kind of a nice setup. The day will end at 2 o'clock. They will have, we're going to hire some paras. The teachers are going to be able to end their day, get reorganized, while the paras doing snack time, outside time. So these kids get some running around, and then they'll go in to class for a couple hours, and then they will go home on the bus. So it's an 8 weeks is the programming. And we lined it up because of our tiered system. We had to start to think about how we were going to structure that. Because the buses, our buses aren't coming in until 4:40, 4:45. So we have to give those buses, and we did have bus drivers volunteer to drive those 36. So we're all in good shape. We're kind of excited about it. I hope it goes well for them, because I obviously don't teach the kids. They're all funded. We are waiting for one area. That's the homeless children piece, 159. They must have something funky going on there, because they told us that they would not be able to get to that till the end of January to get these approved. So that is still under process, but otherwise everything else that is in serves is funded, and many of them are already active because we're already using them in this year's budget. And the enrollment loss, we have that funded, and that will all be used also in our 22-23 budget. So, and then the second sheet that I have on here is just a summary of what is kind of going on in each of the areas, so that you have an idea of what we're spending that money on, and it's not all just a dollar amount. So any questions on COVID?
Thanks, Michelle.
Any other? Right, well, there are no additions to the agenda. Future meetings, executive planning on the 26th, plans on the 1st, and regular meeting on the 1st. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So
Motion made by Eric. Seconded by Chad. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.